What's up guys, JC here at the Salty Cherry Reefing channel. I'm going to be going over testing and dosing this tank and my methods to approaching that to really just create a simple, stable system in the long term. I'm going to be kind of sharing you how I track it all and just my process of doing things here with today's video. Welcome back guys. I'm excited just to do another video here with you guys today, going over testing, dosing, and just kind of how I track all that. I really believe that having a stable tank in the long term is going to be what sets you up for success. And I'm really just going to be sharing with you how I keep things simple here with this tank. I've done 2-part and 3-part dosing. I've done the Triton method in the past with previous tanks that requires obviously multiple dosing heads. But I chose this time around to go with a different plan of action to just keep it simple with a single dosing head. I'm actually going to be dosing Alpha Reef, but how I go about testing for all that is mainly with Alkalinity Hanna Checker. I think it's an amazing testing kit, and if you're going to spend any money on any of the Hanna testers, the Alkalinity one in my opinion is the best one to get. Second to that would be the Phosphate ultra low range, especially if you really want to dial in your nutrients and make sure you're just setting your tank up for success so you can pull the best colors out of your corals and just make sure your corals are nice and happy and healthy, so you don't have 1 too low of nutrients, but 2 way too high of nutrients and having issues when it comes to algae outbreaks and things that come with that. So starting off here, I'm going to just kind of share with you how simple it is to really test with the Hanna Alkalinity Checker. This one here shows in parts per million, so it doesn't give you the DKH reading. It actually shows you the parts per million, and then what you do to find out the DKH is you multiply the number that it gives you by 0.056, and that's what shows you your DKH. So the overall process is pretty simple. You fill the flask up with 10 milliliters of water, which I had already done prior to starting this video. You start the Hanna Checker, you put your clean vial of your tank water in there to set a baseline for the test. And then after you've done that, you're going to take 10 milliliters of water. I think it's 10. It might be 1 milliliter. But I believe it's 10 milliliters of the solution here. You give it a good shake for about 10, I think it's about 10 shakes to mix it in so it's consistent all the way throughout. One thing I like to do is use a shirt or like a glasses cleaner and clean the outside of the glass just to get rid of any fingerprints that potentially could be there. Maybe that's just my OCD that kicks in, but I do that and then I put it in the test thing, close the cap, start it up, and then it gives you a reading within just a few seconds. So this one's for sure the easiest of all the testing I do. It's probably the one I do the most often because when you're dosing a solution like Alpha Reef, it should be raising all your levels consistently all at the same time. And so they should stay in a balance is the idea behind it, along with your water changes. So I got a reading of 174, which I think came out to 9.7 something. I'll put it on the screen here. But ultimately it's been creeping up a little bit. I actually haven't dosed Alpha Reef the last 2 days. I don't have a lot of corals in my tank, so it's honestly, I kind of just started off with a low amount. I started at 5 milliliters, did that for a little bit, and then I started to see the DKH climb up from, I think it started at like, I want to say it was just under 8 or just over 8. I'll share all my testing numbers with you guys here, so you guys can see how often I test and just when I did start testing on this tank. But ultimately, that DKH reading is kind of going to tell you a sign, telltale sign of what your other parameters are. I do periodically test for magnesium and calcium because I think sometimes it's good just to know where those things are at, especially in the beginning, because if you want those to be a little bit higher, which I want my calcium and my magnesium to be a little bit higher based on the tests that I've ran so far. So I might actually get just a small bottle of magnesium, calcium, just to boost up those numbers, so then You know, I would just continue to dose those regularly. My other thought is I have a black bucket of Red Sea coral salt, reef crystal salt, and I might just continue to do water changes with that to raise those levels over time, without having to go and purchase those extra solutions. So, but here I'm doing the phosphate test. It's fairly simple as well. You get 10 milliliters of water. You do your baseline reading with just the tank water, and then you put this packet in there, and you mix it up for 30 seconds. Again, I OCD wipe the fingerprints off there with a shirt, or like I said, a glasses cleaner. You put it in here, and the cool thing with this is you can either wait 3 minutes and click down on the button once, or if you hold down on the button, it'll actually do a 3-minute timer for you. So at the end of this 3-minute timer, it'll automatically do the reading. And so I'm going to leave it there, and when we come back, it should be basically ready to go here for you guys. So just finished. And this time around, I actually got a lot higher phosphate reading than I have tested previously. Part of my thoughts for that is I recently added a bunch of dry rock to the sump, and when I did that, my skimmer started to overflow, and so I've actually had my skimmer off for the last 2 days, and I've still been kind of feeding pretty heavily into the tank. So I have a feeling that's between the rock and my feeding, that's kind of what's raised the levels. I'm thinking it's more the rock than my feeding, if I'm being honest. But again, this is another really easy test to use to really get a gauge on where your phosphates are at in your tank. I think I was getting a reading of 0.05 in my previous test, like a handful of days ago. So for me, I'm getting the skimmer back online, really making sure. I'm going to probably do another water change here. I don't mind having phosphates. Like, I don't have any algae outbreak. I mean, I look at where I'm going through right now. The tank is kind of going through an ugly phase, where all the rock is, has algae on it, but between the sailfin and the purple tang and then a couple Tectus snails I have, they do a really good job of battling it back. And I know once I get more to that 3-4 month mark, the tank's going to stable out. So I'm not too worried about it right now. I am going to, do some natural remedies to bring down those phosphates, AE, water changes, get the skimmer back online, and just kind of work on it that way. And I know it's going to kind of take care of itself, but just to kind of show you how simple I am keeping it, I got the Alpha Reef here. This is a liquid bottle that I got with the tank. I also have a dry powdered bottle that I'll mix eventually when this runs out. But I'm going to try and keep this thing super simple. I was dosing 5 milliliters in the beginning. I'm down to 2, and then the last 2 days I stopped because my DKH was getting to 9.7, and my goal is to kind of keep it around 9, would be my goal, and not have it move around too much from there. But ultimately, it's been a super easy solution. It's been something that I'm excited to see the results of, and worked really well. One thing that's been cool to see is that I've already seen this Monty cap, is really starting to encrust, and I'll have a updated picture kind of to follow. But it's already started to encrust. The edges have gotten a lot thicker, and I've started to see the other Monty cap encrust and grow as well. All the other corals I have are, doing really well. Their polyps are extended, they're out, they're happy, and it's been cool to see. So far with the Alpha Reef, I've really enjoyed the product. It's worked really well for me. It hasn't been super long yet, so I really can't say an honest review on it yet, other than so far I've enjoyed using it. But this is how I've just kept things simple here with my tank, and how I plan to keep things simple here moving forward. If you've stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe and like or comment if you have any suggestions or thoughts or things you've done differently. But I will catch you guys next time.